Welcome, I'm Analysis Paralysis. I play Magic the Gathering and today I'm going to talk about Silverquill in Strixhaven, how to draft it, how to look at individual cards, how to approach the whole deck construction, what the deck is trying to do, and how you can pilot it to victory. Um, yeah, and a caveat, everyone knows that black and white in Strixhaven is the best archetype, the best colors. So there's a lot of people that will try to end up in this lane, and it's not always going to be open. So after this draft, you might know which card to look for, but that doesn't mean that they're going to flow your way. Because if it's only about learning about card evaluation, then it would be a draft on rails. If you know the right answer, everyone knows the right answer, and there would be no age to be gained. So drafting is not about drafting on rails. It's about seeing which lane is open. But if Silverquill is open, you're going to have a lot of use of this guide. How to assemble the deck, how to pilot it, etc. Let's go in. We're going to cover the game plan of the Silverquill deck, which cards are overperforming. That's a lot of them. Which cards are underperforming and traps. Look at trophy decks and some of the recommended reads that I have if you're, looking to improve as a drafter. If you look at the win rate on a deck like this, then the win rate is higher in the beginning, but as the game drags on, your opponent's decks will stabilize and they will play impactful spells and your win rate will go down. So go wide with many small creatures and you want to smash face. And we have some menaced creatures here and flyers. So you want to go wide, fly, and attack. And you don't really care about blocking, you want to smash face. You have life gain to handle the swing back, so just do damage. And when they put a big prop blocker in the way, we're trying to enable damage anyway with tricks and removal to push the combat in our favor. And we're all about short-term value. We are the beat down deck. We want to win fast and do damage early. And a slower deck will win in the long run. So we will try to win fast. That's the game plan. And I've been playing a lot of Silverquill and I've been playing a lot of Strixhaven over the year. So I think I know which decks are working and not and what to look for. And beside my own evaluation of the cards, we have the data. What cards are winning? Yeah, so we're going to look at game in hand win rate. That means when you draw the card as you play or when you have it in your starting hand. So a high win rate here means that it's helping you. And yeah, so anything that is a roughly 61%, it's an average card for your deck that is winning. Above average, yeah, that's great. Way above average, then it's a bomb. Below average, then it's a filler. And way below, then it's a trap, it's unplayable. Okay, so the bombs. Poet's Quill, Sparring Regimen, and Leon Lightscribe. And I think the Leon and Lightscribe here is a nice Magecraft trigger. Every creature you control get +1/+1 until end of turn if you just play any instant or sorcery. So it's going to be hard to block an opponent with a Leonin and other creatures on the board. Like, what is the right way? Sparring Regimen just puts counters and untaps, and when it ETBs you learn. Great enchantment. And Poet's Quill gives something lifelink and +1/+1. And it's an artifact, you can equip it to different things. It's going to be really hard to race someone with a Poet's Quill. The Spellbinder disrupts your opponent's hand. You can look at the hand. It's a 3 mana 3/1 flyer. It's great. Shail lets you put a counter on each creature that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. So it's going to pump your whole team as you play your fast, evasive, cheap creatures. I think that's the mode you're going to play it as. Looking at uncommon 1-drops, Luminancer, slightly below average. Eye Twitch, slightly above. I guess the flying matters, and the when it dies, learn. And the Luminancer Magecraft trigger, it becomes much stronger until end of turn, so it's hard to know how to block a Luminancer. The commons are below average. Fillers. Star Pupil as a counter, and when it dies, you can put it on something else you control. Unwilling Ingredient as Menace, and when it dies, you can pay 2 in a black to have it exile from your graveyard and draw a card and lose a life. So give a little bit of gas to your aggro deck. So it fits the theme, but it's weak. 2-drops, and this is where your deck is shining. Professor of Symbology. Just when it ETBs, you learn, and it's a 2 mana, 2 power, 1 toughness, 2-drop. Great. Killian, I think, is the signpost on common. It makes every spell that target a creature 2 colorless less to cast. That means combat tricks on your creatures are cheaper. Kill spells on your opponent's creatures are cheaper. And that's what you're about. Combat tricks and removal. And weenies. Thunderous Orator can, like, when it attacks, it gains abilities of your other creatures. So Menace, Flying, First Strike, Death Touch, all of that. It just copies that for the end until end of turn. Silverquill Apprentice can, as a Magecraft trigger, give some creature, target creature +1/+0 until end of turn. And yeah, the first 3 are above average, and Silverquill is just average. And Killian and Professor is, above average. Eager First Year is average, Arrogant Poet is slight below, and Leech Fanatic is also average. And I guess, like, attacking matters. Leech gets lifelink in your attack step or in your turn. Well, Arrogant Poet can gain evasion at the cost of life. And Eager First Year gets a bit more powerful with each spell that you play. So it's just, a very attacking matters is just reinforced here. Shadewing Laureate, average. 3 mana, 2 to flying, and when something with flying dies, put a counter on target creature you control. Reflected Golem is cool because you can pay 2 mana when you play a combat trick on the Golem to have it. Then you can copy that spell and choose a new target for that copy if you want to. So you can, like, get more value out of your combat tricks when you target the Golem first. Common slots. Pilgrim. With ETBs, you can fetch a Plains card and reveal it. And, make your land drop if you don't have already done so, or you save it for next turn. So it really guarantees that you hit your 4-drop, and that is important for this deck, to double spell your 2 mana tricks or creatures. The Silverquill Pledge Mage is cool that the Magecraft trigger is kind of modal. It can either gain lifelink or flying, and if you do it one more time, it can gain both. And it pairs very well with the Orator. Like, there's a board stall, you have no attack, play a combat trick before combat. Now the Silverquill Pledge Mage is flying, and you have a path. Looking at the win rate of the Lorehold Pledge Mage, it's lower in this deck. I guess it's the double white that drags it down, because First Strike is to be respected. I respect First Strike, but I guess it's hard to cast. And if I would put counters somewhere, I would put them on something with First Strike. 4-drops. Combat Professor. Such a beast. Give something +1/+0 and Vigilance until end of turn. Or target creature, so it could target itself. This is a great 4-drop. Spectre, slightly below average. Can pay 6. It's a mana sink late game to drain your opponent for 2. Spiteful Squad, gold card, that is slow. It's a 2 power, 2 toughness, Death Toucher, and when it dies, you can put the counters on a target creature you control. I guess it's slow, and it's about blocking, and you don't care about blocking. Biblioplex Assistant lets you put a target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. I'm guessing you put your most impactful removal as your next top deck. 5 drops. Owlin Shield Mage. Below average. It's slow, I guess. Flying matters. Board matters. 3 power, 3 toughness is a bit too low. Tenured Ink Caster is a trap. Because, that theme, sub-theme, Silverquill sub-theme is not working, not coming together. So everything that has payoffs with counters will have a lower win rate. And then a 5 power, 5 toughness Witherbloom Pledge. I guess that's good enough to, get the last piece of damage in. Very respectable 5-drop. Combat tricks, okay. So, Show of Confidence has average win rate. Beaming Defiance, the same. And Guiding Voice, above average win rate. That is interesting. Combat tricks again. The Professor. I guess it's the modality of either put a counter on something or give something indestructible instant speed. That it's an average card in this deck. Defiant Strike, it's called a cantrip when you can have an effect and draw a card as a part of the effect. So you can get those Magecraft triggers. Essence Infusion, you get 2 +1/+1 counters and life gain at the end of turn. And at sorcery speed, that is still an average card. It seems slow, but I guess it works. I'm very low on all of these 3, but apparently they're winning. Okay, removal. Great. Flunk. Almost, well, you can consider it bomb range. Or above average, well above average. Closing Statement, really great. This is one of the best, top 5 cards in this archetype. So I'm going to take this very highly. Eliminate, cheap removal, above average. 4 mana, converted mana cost, 2 and a 2 black, below average, but still good. Rise of Extus, or Extus, I don't know how you say it, above average. Maybe it's the exile effect, the unconditional removal, and the learn, and that you can exile target instant or sorcery from a graveyard. That maybe you can take one very pesky card in the graveyard. I don't know why it's good. I thought it was expensive, but it works. Lash, conditional removal for things with low toughness, but cheap. Above average. And hate. Wouldn't you know, it's above average. I guess it's the discard a card that you choose, look at the hand, and a counter at sorcery speed for 2. I guess that's the best card your opponent has. That is a non-land card. They lose that for one of your cards. I guess that's good. Umbral Juke. When you play this card right, you go wide, and your opponent, if they're unlucky, they will play 1 creature at a turn to try to stabilize, and the Juke will just make them sacrifice that every turn while you bring on the pain, while you just smash face. Or if it's a board stall, you create flyers and you chip in. Almost a trap. Defend the campus. So give everything +1/+1 until end of turn. So it's Leonin Magecraft trigger, but for a card. So that's the poor man Leonin. A Magecraft trigger for 4 and a card. Or destroy target creature with power 4 or greater. Maybe in this archetype, in this set, that it's going to win fast or die trying. That this card just doesn't do what you want it to do. That it's not good enough for its cost. Cool learn board spells that work. Hunt is apparently above average. Had no idea. Cram, slightly below average. Study break, above average. Yeah, this I understand. You sacrifice a card to remove 2 blockers now, and you get access to a learn your learn board, lesson board. Like, this is a tempo play. Value now, not value later. Totally get it. And all of these three give you access to your lesson board. Okay, and the cards that you're looking for, primarily Expanded Anatomy, well above average, and Inkling Summoning, also well above average. Spirit Summoning, below average. And you notice these are in pink. This is because I couldn't find reliable data from this last week of quick drafting. This is from the year of drafting. Moving on, we have 2 traps in the lesson board. A very expensive Introduction to Annihilation and Reduced to Memory. If you have to play these cards in this deck, you're in trouble. I guess that's what it says. Fixing. One of these has an average win rate. I don't know how many you can keep in your deck before it gets too slow, but I would guess the ceiling is 2. And 1 is totally fine. Traps. So, 4 mana white, Rescuer. You can take something, target creature card with mana value 3 or less, and put it into your hand. That is just too slow. 5 mana for 2/2 flyer, and that is too slow. And the Dusk Mage, well, you know, the counters theme is not coming together, so cards that are working in that direction are not good. Dueling Coach is definitely a trap. Like, yeah, no, don't play it. Avoid the Coach and the drop, Pillar Drop, and the Dusk Mage. I don't know in what set a 2 and a black target player discards 2 cards will be good. But this is not the set. It's 2 like exile that player's graveyard. That could be good, but not in this set, actually. And when your opponent has played a threat and you're looking to find an answer, go blank is not that answer. Like, quite quickly, you'll come to a position where you want to top deck things, and top decking go blank is not a good place to be. Plum the Forbidden is about sacrificing creatures for value, and you definitely don't care about value. You care about your board presence, so it's the opposite of what you're trying to do. Don't do it. Accelerating Elocution. I don't know if it's the 4 mana converted mana cost, if it's the sorcery speed. It's just the data just says that it sucks. Yeah, I guess it's the speed and the cost for the payoff that is way too low. Okay, let's look at some trophy decks. We have trophy deck number 1, 17 lander, 1 campus, 4 pieces of removal, 4 combat tricks, 12 creatures, and some summon creatures. The bomb here is the Poet's Quill. And as you can see, it's stacked in the 2-drop slot, and it's dropping off quite early. But yeah. Let's see, 1 drop, 3 drops, 1 4 drop, and 2 5 drops. So it's really all about it. It's 2 drops. And the rest is just combat tricks and removal. And the tempo study break. Tap down 2 defenders right now, worry about the future later. You can tell that there's a flying theme here with a double Ledge Mages, with the Spectre of the Ferns, with the Shield Mages, with the Eye Twitch, and the Inkling Summoning in the sideboard. Like, this is a deck that can go into the air. Second trophy, 16 lander, dual Silverquill Campus. 11 creatures, 3 removal spells, 4 combat tricks, and we have both Dramatic Finale and Silver Command. And we have an Expanded Anatomy in the lesson board. I'm not surprised. Again, a very stacked 2-drop slot. Today we have 4 1-drops. So, like, the theme is evasive creatures, small weenies that are cheap to cast, overwhelm your opponent, and removal, and, you know, try to close out the game. Third trophy, another 16 lander with a Silverquill Campus, 12 creatures, 5 tricks, 1 removal plus 3 Umbral Jukes. And we have both a Killian and a Poet's Quill here. And I would say, looking at this deck, we have the evasive Unwilling Ingredient with Menace, the Killian with Menace. We have Shadowing Laureate with Flying, the Sedgemoor Witch with Menace. Umbral Jukes creates flyers if needed. 2 Owlin Shield Mages and a Combat Prof. Dual Expanded Anatomy. That's great. And some life gain with the Quill. So this deck can really race. Another 16 lander, the last one, trophy deck. 1 campus, 15 creatures. A Lash of Malice, kind of a conditional removal. 5 tricks, 3 hand disruption spells, and 0 rares or mythics. And again, expanded anatomy, inkling summoning. Today we see a pest summoning and an introduction to annihilation. And the 2-drop slot is stacked. Okay, if you want to learn more about approaching like the sets and learning about why a deck is working or not, or you like, what is my deck trying to do? A great recommended read is Who's the Beatdown with Mike Flores. And well, it's beyond looking at individual cards, it's about looking at a deck. What is my deck trying to do? Damage early or card advantage later? Which deck can do more damage the early game? And if you can assign, like if you know which deck, if you know your own deck, and you guess correctly what your opponent's deck is doing, then you can play either the role of the aggressor or the control deck that is trying to stabilize and survive and win the long game. So, great read. I recommend it. And then if you want to expand on your own or the evaluation game, Quadrant Theory is a great place to be. Marshall Sutcliffe teaches you how to evaluate cards from 4 buckets. Opening developing phase, parity when you're no one has an upper hand, when you're losing, when you're behind, and when you're ahead, when you're winning. I think it's a very easy to understand article that will enhance your card evaluation game. A simple way. Like, it's not simple to apply it, but the theory, the method is easy to understand and hard to master. Great read. Right, so in summary, Silverquill decks are aggro decks. They have small, evasive creatures. We're trying to win with removal and tricks, and we're racing to 0. We're not about blocking. Win fast, die young, aggro decks do it well. And like, we know that Silverquill is the best deck, but we can't force that lane. If it's not flowing, it's not flowing. But if you see a lot of good black or white cards flowing your way, then you know that maybe it's a signal that you can go into that lane. Hope you're psyched to go into the draft and try your own Silverquill. Good luck, have fun, and I see you out there in the matches.